Welcome back to Jenny's World, keeping it fresh, keeping it real and definitely keeping it middle-aged. Now don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel Jenny's World, and also take a look at my website. All the details are down below in the description box. Now today is going to be a short video. I just wanted to give a summary of some of the key highlights I think that came out of the news this week. And I'm going to start with the absolute shocker. And I don't know if we're shocked or we're surprised or we're kind of like just over it. But Donald Trump. And he had his medical advisors talking about COVID-19 and ways to destroy the disease. And I don't know how he linked the two, but there's a conversation regarding how the use of detergents, strong bleaches, are really helping to kill that virus down. Now, obviously, most people are taking that from services where you touch, worktops, etc. Common sense is stuff that we do every day anyway within our house as we're going about our cleaning. But he then made a ginormous leap that said, wow, if bleach can kill the virus in like minutes, even a minute or under, how about we kind of think about ingesting that? I don't know, some kind of injection into ourselves. We drink it. And it's just like, how crazy is that? It's just, I can't believe that he actually said those words. And I sit here saying I can't believe. And in my mind, I'm thinking, this is Donald Trump, this is Donald Trump, this is Donald Trump. This is a man who says the most craziest of things. Why are you being so surprised? But I am. And I think the world was. And then even his own medical advisors quickly sought to kind of like clamp that down. And then you had the big companies, and Ricket, I think, is a big one in America. They came out with a tweet, I think it was, saying, no, do not do this. These our products are not meant to be ingested in any shape or form. Injection, drinking, do not do that. It's not safe. They're purely meant to be used on surfaces as part of your household routine. And again, this quickly went viral, I think the word is, and it was just being talked about. And I just think it's just, I don't know, I'm lost for words on this, because how can somebody in such a position of importance, and we know there's millions of people who like Donald Trump, think he's great, think he's doing a great job. So there's millions of people out there who will probably take his word to heart, start stocking up on blooming detergents, and then try injecting it in themselves or drinking it to protect themselves from COVID-19. Without realising that you are actually drinking or ingesting bleach, and that is a dangerous thing to do because it's something that could kill you. And I really hope that, I know it was talked about in the UK in the news and that, so I really hope that we are a sensible country and that people recognise that this was just something idiotic coming from one person and has no basis and should not be followed. So I just really wanted to just kind of like give a shout out to that, to just say, and we have the medical profession working on ways to find a vaccine, a cure for COVID-19. So please, let's make sure we listen to them. We don't listen to people, even the President of the United States in that highest office. We don't listen to somebody with no medical background. We really think about common sense. We use detergents to clean, to keep our surfaces clean, to destroy germs, and never ever think about it as a way of protecting yourself internally from COVID-19. And I just hope that in America people aren't rushing out to stock up on this, to kind of like go crazy and do what he said. Especially younger people who may think, oh, I'm going to go and do it. Our president has recommended this, so it must be okay to do. So I just really wanted to say that, and I think if you as individuals, if you hear anything about that, people thinking about it, please talk to them, please get that common sense going, please make it clear it is not a path to take. Wait until the medical professions come out and tell us what we can do and what they've come up with, what they've managed to pull together to prevent COVID-19. Let's really make sure we apply common sense, and that we use that as our yardstick as to how to get over this virus, this pandemic. So I just wanted to mention that, as I think it was really important. just to bring out and share with you all. So the other piece of news that came out yesterday, like Thursday I think, was regarding testing being made available for the rest of the key workers and their families, so they can test if they think they may have symptoms of COVID-19. And obviously something available online, obviously quickly had a big take up and had to take it down, and again put it back up this morning, again another take up. So again, things that the government are trying to implement to help diagnose people with COVID-19, to get them back to work, or to make sure they know they're all clear or not all clear, has not gone so well, because millions want to know, and every single person I think who has any of these symptoms do want to know, have I got it, or is it just a normal flu? So I think again it's just an example of perhaps not enough thought given into, from the government's point of view, given into thinking of the take up of this. So again, of having to launch it in piecemeal, which you kind of like thinking, if you're going to do something, it should be right first time. Or as close as possible to being right. And in this environment, in this day and age, in this situation with COVID-19, how did they not anticipate millions of people wanting to take it up? There are millions of key workers. They're all probably desperate to know how things lie, so they can either go back to work or self-isolate. And then you release something that doesn't work all of the time. So hopefully lessons learned, and that the government will get it right today or tomorrow, so all of those key workers can go out there, book themselves in, get to the testing, make it happen, and find out how they are situated with COVID-19. There's just so many different things going on at the moment, so many things that the government are trying to do to make things easier for everybody. And I think that there's got to be a little bit that says patience and, we've got to have faith. But I think ultimately this has been a long time in the work. COVID-19 just didn't appear last week. So you would have thought that it would have had things right. One of the things I have noticed about in the news, that the PPE equipment is no longer like the headliner, which I find strange, because obviously there's still shortages. It'd be interesting to know if any of the hospitals last weekend ran out of PPE equipment as they predicted, but that's not been reported on. So I'd imagine that they did, some of them did, and had to kind of like make do or be very sparingly with the equipment that they did have. I know there was a shipment from Turkey that was due in. Again, it was very low key. We mentioned it if it arrived, if it got to the right places. So there's things going on where perhaps they're not so good for the government, and then for some reason they're headline news, then it dies out and something else takes its place. But I think one of the key things to remember, that PPE equipment was vital, continues to be vital, and I think we just got to keep trying to get it out there so that the government does that and gets as much as that equipment to frontline medical profession and care workers as soon as possible, to prevent their deaths, their being infected, and prohibiting their ability to treat the patient. So just because things aren't in the news doesn't mean they're not going on and not taking place. So for all of us out there, let's please kind of like what we can do, shout out whether we can, whether we tweet or Instagram, or do YouTube videos about PPE equipment for our frontline medical professional workers and care workers, because we've got to make sure they get what they need to help protect themselves, their families, and the patients that they're trying to treat get the right treatment at the right time. The other thing to be noticed is that deaths in the UK continue to remain high. Again, giving me thinking in my mind, I don't see the lockdown being lifted when we get into the first week of May. I see it being extended. Deaths in care homes, which weren't really being reported, continue to happen, continue to be high. So again, some early indicators, I think, of lockdown going to be extended, but that's just my view. I know that they're reporting that cases of COVID-19 are falling, and that would potentially have hit that curve. But I still see, if we're reporting 700 deaths or 500 deaths, whichever, that's a high figure. That to me is still very high, and it doesn't warrant, from my perspective, lockdown being lifted. But that's just my opinion, my view. I'm sure that there's lots of you out there who have your opinions and your views as well. And obviously the government are keep making it very clear that they will keep lockdown on as long as it's required, and they will follow medical guidance as to when it should be lifted. But I don't think it's going to be early May. I know reading in the news, especially in America, there's been protests about lockdown and people are unhappy. They want to get out. They want it to be ended. And I know that America has had the highest toll of deaths. I think it was over 50,000, and the highest number of cases. But again, they are a country of 330 million population. So when you compare it to the UK or Spain, Italy or Germany, the number then comes into proportion against our number of people in our country. So the 50,000 sounds high, but equated to 330 million, I think the figures are it's less than 1%. So again, I think we have to be cautious with numbers, but again, I'm struggling to understand people protesting at having the lockdown not being lifted when the people in charge are really trying to keep people safe. So it'll really be interesting to see how that goes. I know that some states have lifted the restrictions and that some companies are reopening. So I think it's really going to be about watching and seeing how that goes and seeing how other countries tackle the restrictions lifting. I know that there's been a gradual phase across some different countries. So I suppose that from a UK perspective, our government will be taking watch and looking to see what other countries are doing and then thinking about how they're going to look to impose or lift our own restrictions. But as I said, my personal viewpoint is I think lockdown will continue throughout May at least. And I think from a school perspective, I know there's loads of parents who are very keen to get their children back into school. It'd be interesting to see if they do go back before the summer. I kind of like feel as though, and I think it's been mooted, that perhaps the children who are at A-level and GCSE, they'll be the ones who get to go back so they can take their exams. And perhaps the younger children won't be going back so soon. But I know that talking to different people, having schools open is a good way to kickstart the economy, and we know that a lot has happened. A lot of companies have furloughed their staff. There's hardly any companies open. I mean, yesterday it was announced that TfL are going to furlough 7,000 staff because obviously if they've taken a massive hit, you know, you have a lockdown, nobody's travelling, or those who are travelling, they're very, very small numbers. So we know that the lockdowns has implications across the economy. So it'd be interesting to see if health and safety is above money and the economy growing. So I think it'll be one to watch. As I said, in my mind, I think we're going to be in lockdown throughout May and probably early June before we see an easing of that. But that's just my personal view. We know the government, they kind of like, sometimes you can predict them, other times they just do things which blow your mind. And I'll link that back to Donald Trump and his stupid comments about using detergent, ingesting it to kill COVID-19. Anyway, so let's just focus on the positive, and that's hopefully that everybody in your family, among your circle of family friends, are safe and keeping well. And our thoughts go out to those people who have unfortunately died from COVID-19 and those who are critically ill from COVID-19. So let's all give a thought and a prayer to those people, because it's difficult. And for those families who've been impacted by people who have died, not being able to be close to them, to attend funerals. And I know that restrictions have been lifted for those who have died so that funerals can happen and family can attend. So really, my thoughts go out to them, my thoughts and my prayers to those. And for those who are still recovering from COVID-19, wishing you all a speedy recovery and the ability to soon get back to living your life as it was before. Thank you for watching as always, and remember, keep safe, keep motivated and just keep going. So keeping it fresh, keeping it real and definitely keeping it middle aged over here.